Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. David Goldrake, how are you?
I'm fine, Alex. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. And here we are in your beautiful showroom here at the Tropicana. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful rooms in Vegas, isn't it?
It is beautiful. It is historical. There's been so much history here, so many great artists. I'm very honoured to be part of it.
We first spoke about a year ago, just standing over there, and you put this show in here at the Tropicana, and you never know whether it's going to work. You never know whether anybody's going to turn up, and they have. And I came to see the show, and it is beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You've been doing this a long while. I mean, what's interesting about you is the craftsmanship. I mean, you make it look easy, both technically with the magic, but also with the audience. If the two aren't in synergy, it ain't going to work, is it?
That is correct, and I think the top challenge is not only to make it look easy, but to make it look beautiful.
Do you love that the most? I mean, I know one of the things that you talked about in the original interview when you were creating the show was sort of the screens and the lighting and all that stuff. That's as important to you as the actual illusions themselves.
Absolutely. I love the fact that we were able to combine both the visuals, acoustics with the music. It's become a completely immersive experience for everyone, and I love the interaction with the audience. That makes it so unique, and that makes every show just being that show.
And what's also interesting, I noticed on your reviews, the ladies find you a nice bit of trouser. They think you're delicious.
Do they?
That must be nice.
Well, I'm very touched. Yeah, thank you.
How much work goes into keeping this show at the standard to which you want it to be? Are you rehearsing every day, or is the show set now and you can just come in 5 minutes before and do it?
I wish it was that easy. No, we are really rehearsing every day. We're just changing another piece that we decided to change last week. So we tested it today. We're going to work on it the whole next week, and hopefully we can put the changes into implementation next week. So there's always something happening, always little changes. We add new material, we remove material, we exchange pieces. It's a living thing.
What is life like here in Las Vegas? I mean, you're a local now. You've been here more than 12 months. Are you enjoying it? Is this home now?
I am enjoying it. It is home. It's very exciting. There's lots to see, lots to experience, and I love my work.
And there's no better town to do it. I mean, I always say to anybody, if you're a magician, really, you want to be on the Las Vegas Boulevard, and you are, and your face is up there on the poster. Do you still pinch yourself every time you go past it?
It's still kind of surreal, yes.
It must be fun. And then the reaction from the Vegas audiences. I mean, I know in Europe we're slightly more sort of somber, and we sit there and we could be having the best time in the world and we might clap at the end, but these guys really get into it, don't they?
That is true. The American audiences are different than European audiences, and that's very rewarding.
And what about the Vegas audiences compared to the rest of America? Because they may have had a beverage or two.
I think the Vegas audiences have been very spoiled because they've seen pretty much everything on the Strip, and yet they're very encouraging. Some of them come very regularly. They come back like 2, 3, 4, 5 times even, which is extremely nice and which motivates me to get even better.
And I know you were supported by the country where you came from, and that's an amazing gift as well, to be given sort of a passage to Las Vegas. Just tell the story how you got here.
Well, yes, it is a gift to have been supported by my country. I'm kind of a cultural ambassador for Luxembourg, which is where I'm coming from. And both the government and a whole bunch of other people decided to jump on board and support my project.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, that's every guy's dream, really, isn't it?
It is.
And what did they tell you you had to do? Did you have carte blanche to create the show you wanted, or did they tell you how they wanted it?
I did have carte blanche to create the show that I wanted to, and all they want is that I give 150%, which I do.
How tough is that to do that 8 times a week, 10 times a week on a busy week?
It is, it's different. I didn't know what to expect, and I got accustomed to it very quickly. I'm very lucky to work out regularly and to have a healthy body, so that helps a lot.
And talk to me about the weather. I mean, in Europe, I've had the heating on since September. I think I turned it off about a week ago. You come here and it can be 120 in August. How has that been in doing the show? Because it must affect you.
The weather is fabulous. The thing that we have to be careful with here is the adjustment of the theater temperature, because sometimes it does get really hot, and that does affect the whole momentum on stage.
Wow. And of course, this show not only has magic, it also has dancers and acrobats and beautiful bits. I don't want to give too much away. I mean, you've really gone to town with that. Was that important to you to put on a show, not just a magic show?
That's the very right expression. I didn't want to put on a show that was not just a magic show. I wanted a show with magical moments. So we do have magic, we have grand illusion, we have close-up, we have we have an escape, we have sideshow acts, and two of my performers were actually in the movie The Greatest Showman starring Hugh Jackman. So I'm super honored to be surrounded by such great talent.
Is it amazing being in a town where on every corner and on every seat there could be somebody who's done something that's spectacular? I mean, there's very few places around the world that attracts entertainers to come and see other entertainers.
Vegas is really the nucleus of talent on the entire planet. I've seen people that are so amazing and that do incredible stuff with their bodies, and it's just phenomenal.
Last night I went to see Matt Goss, who's just a phenomenal entertainer, and then there's Terry Fator down the street. There's the legends like Donnie and Marie who are incredible. Do you still sort of pinch yourself when you go around and you see them at one show or another person's show? It's an amazing community to be in, isn't it?
The community is wonderful, very supportive, very tight-knit. At some point everybody knows everybody. You exchange ideas, there's a real artistic exchange, which I think is great.
Talk to me about what it was like being a young boy with a box of tricks and hoping one day that you might have a stage to perform on, let alone a beautiful stage like this. Did you always have the dream to have a David Copperfield-sized show? Because let's face it, this is huge.
I started doing magic when I was 8. I discovered a small piece of magic in a magic magazine, in a children's magazine actually, where I had to make a thimble disappear, reappear. And it became a passion very quickly. And I think that it wasn't natural to just think Las Vegas at some point. It's, as you said it earlier, it's the goal or the dream of so many magicians to come here. And that's what it's been from the beginning.
What I love about your show is you make it look like A, you want to be here, and B, it's relevant for 2018. What you don't want to be is one of those shticky magicians that sort of turns up and pulls a rabbit out of the hat and do something we've seen before. It's a tricky balance, isn't it, being tricky?
It is a tricky balance to be both classic and contemporary, right. And I don't know that I've managed yet. I always listen to the feedback of the audience to see if I did manage. So far it looks good, but it is really a fine line to stay modern while using old classical principles without falling into the obsolete.
Also, what's beautiful about your show is the rhythm and the music that you use behind it. That's important to you, isn't it?
Music is very important to me. Music is what's been moving me ever since I was a child as well. I've studied music, I've done music, and I think it's like a movie. You have the visuals, but you need the sound to support it.
I think it's every boy's dream to do a magic trick well. What would be your advice to anybody who's listening to this or watching you now and wants to be in Las Vegas and hasn't quite made it yet? Is it just hours and hours and hours of discipline?
It is hours and hours and hours of discipline. It is passion. It is perseverance. It is just not listening to any negativity. Just go for it and give it all you have. Work harder than anyone else.
And it is a case of turning up and looking like you want to be here. What's great about your show is, I mean, it's got its own identity, and that's the other thing you've got to create is a niche, isn't it? And make sure your show isn't a repetition of the guy next to you.
When we did come to Vegas, it was very important to me to be unique. I had seen most of the magicians before. I'm friends with most of them. So it was my challenge, and it was my goal actually, to create a show that was unique, that didn't copy or duplicate any of the other pieces that my colleagues and friends are performing. And I think I've managed to do that, which is a very rewarding experience. And I can see it in the reviews. People notice the originality. We have some unique pieces that nobody else is doing, and I'm very grateful for that. The show is about bringing people together. It's about having them show me their best sides. They come to the theater to have a great time, to forget their worries. It's just an exchange of energies for me, and that's the best part about it.
You're amazingly personable, and you take the risk of bringing people on stage in Las Vegas, which is always a risk, and I always admire you for that because it can go wrong. Have you had moments you wish you didn't?
Not yet.
Have you learned how to get out of any situation now?
I have learned to get out of any situation, and I have to say all my spectators have been super nice so far on stage.
Well, it's not nice. They can be too nice sometimes, can't they?
They can, but that hasn't happened either.
We have a thing in England called WHD, wandering hand disease. You have to be careful with that, especially when they look like you. You know, these ladies can come on stage and before you know it.
That hasn't happened, and I'm happy about that.
David Goldrake's here at the Tropicana. It's a beautiful show, and as you can see, the showroom is probably the nicest of all of them. It's got the booths at the front, which are so stunning, and traditional Vegas, and then the theatre seating, and then, of course, your stage is so gorgeous. Congratulations on everything. It's a beautiful magic show. Thank you for talking to me again.
Thanks so much, Alex.